Look at that stuff. Look at that liquid gold. Look how pretty that stuff is, guys. That was a gift. That is called Michigan Nap honey. And I didn't know about Nap. Nap, from what I'm told now, Nap is an invasive plant in Michigan. And how this came about, how that came about, I've got an ad on Craigslist selling bees, and a fella called me, and name was Martin. Nice guy. Him and I talked quite a while. He's a small engine mechanic up in Michigan, and then he comes down here for 6 months and then goes back up there, back and forth. So he's semi-retired, but he loves bees. He plays with bees like old Steve-O. And he got 10 colonies up there, double stacked. And there's a beekeeper in Michigan that runs pollination. He's got 1,300 colonies. He loads up and heads to Georgia, and I don't know where all else, but anyway, that's the story I got. And so Martin throws his 10 Bach double stackers on that guy, and he brings down, and he works them on crops, and then he, of course, splits off of them and this and that, so he's getting that part of the deal. Plus, Martin don't have to fool with them. He's got a guy that's taking care of them, so it's a nice arrangement. But what he did was brought down with him in his car his best queen. And while he was down here, he gave him something to play with and make queens. Well, he had a queen castle, a 4-chambered queen castle, so he could put 2 frames in each division. Nice setup. I've never fooled with castles before. I've always used these things, 5-frame nooks. And what I'm doing today, I'll show you in a few minutes what I'm doing. I was going to get queens cells this Friday, and I've been busy, as you know, fooling around with hunting bows and this and that. But I'm going to have to start getting serious on the bees, because people want bees, and I need to get cranking some bees out. So anyway, he came to me, asked me if I had some bees to sell on frames. I said, well, I'm selling 5-frame nooks. And he said, well, I just need 5 frames of bees. I don't need a queen. So I said, all right. I'm really tight on frames. I told him what I wanted to do is build up, and then I gave him a number of another fella that I know. This got, I think, running 450 colonies, I guess he says he's running. Anyway, I gave him his number, and I said, I'm sure he could, you know, let 5 frames go of bees. So we got a hold of the guy, and he said, no, there's no way I can give up any bees. Okay. So Martin called me back. He said, man, I'm in a hurt situation here. I said, get your hiney on over here. Let's get you fixed up. So he came over, and we had a good conversation, and we got into bees. We got into these guys here. Oh, by the way, that colony there, the one looking for the queen, remember the last video? I had a box next to it and had an excluder on the floorboard, and we were going to trap her in there, and I never did find that queen. While Martin was here, I said, let's get into that box. So we got into that box, and guess what we found? A whole bunch of queen cells in there. So, and there's no laid eggs in there. So guess what I've done? Old Steve-O made up those 2 nooks. Remember, I had them on the floor over here. And they got transported to another site. And obviously, I transported that queen to that other yard. I'm going to check that out, not tomorrow, but probably Friday, and see how she's doing. And if I find her in there and there's a bunch of queen cells, I'm going to have to pull them cells out of there, because she's fixing to swarm. These other colonies I went into, I didn't find any swarming cells, but they're getting plenty fat. Could be happening anytime, so I'm going to have to keep on them. But the plan is here is to get these going as mating nooks, and get going with a lot of cells. Well, back to the Martin story. We got him, I gave him 4 frames of bees, mostly brood on them, sealed broods. That gave him plenty of resources. And he's putting 2 frames in each one of those 4 divisions. I'm sorry, he's putting 1 frame. He had food and pollen frames already he brought from Michigan. So he's going to take 1 of my frames with bees and all, and sealed brood and bees and all, and put in each one of those 4 divisions, and then drop a food frame in. And he was grafting from his very best queen. He said, I've got ripe cells, they're going to be popping soon, I got to get this thing together. I said, I understand. So he got the bees, and I gave him a good price on it, and he was very happy. And so he also, as a little gift, gave me this nap honey. And let me tell you something, guys, this is some good honey. But Michigan is pissed off about nap honey. So what are the brain surgeons from Michigan Agriculture Department? Okay, we're going to get rid of nap. It's an invasive weed. We can't have it in Michigan. So they're inventing and came up with a bug that attacks the knapweed. And I said, you know, our Florida rocket scientists here in Florida, they're kind of doing the same thing with the Brazilian pepper tree. They are coming up with some kind of bug that's going to attack and kill all of the Brazilian pepper in Florida, which is one of our top honey producing crops. So I think what's going to happen from Florida to Michigan, we're going to create an environmental disaster, more than likely. Every time we get the government involved in shenanigans, this is what we end up with, is problems. So stay tuned for that one, guys. We'll see how that one rolls, but understand, there's Brazilian pepper right there. It came up on its own. I've got them coming up all over the place. They're coming up everywhere. Wherever a bird takes a poop, you've got a Brazilian pepper tree coming up. So good luck on staying ahead of that. They've tried spending, I don't know how many gajillions of dollars spraying this stuff, toxic poisons around. And here's a little something happening right now. Man, this cassava is going crazy. You know what this is, guys? Cassava. Yeah, it gets about 3 years. You get these great big old brown tubers that come out. It tastes like potatoes. But look what's going on here. Look what's hiding in the bushes here, guys. Avocado tree. But I wanted to show you, I got a lot of this in my neighborhood. This is a wild cherry, and it's blooming. And I don't see any bees on it. Don't have a lot of smell to it. But I'll tell you what, guys, I've gone around the neighborhood and some of these trees are snow white, and I pull over and look and the bees are just hammering it, and they're all within flying range of this yard, of this apiary. These trees are running around here. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I thought I'd show you the nap honey and tell you a little story on the nap honey. I hope we don't create Michigan a monster there. Because, you know, every time you release some kind of exotic bug to attack one thing, it screws up something else, and it just goes on and on. Sometimes it's better just leave nature alone and work with nature instead of toying around with it. Speaking of nature, look at my pineapples. Do you think I could jam another plant in that thing, guys? This is full of biochar. Look what biochar does. That's a gift from the Mayan Indians right there, guys. Yes. Here's some biochar right here. It's cooked down hardwood. And the really best thing to do is grind it into a powder like that and mix it with existing soils. You have black gold then that your plants can thrive on. They love carbon. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm getting nooks ready. And I've got some 1/8 cloth here. And I'm going to have to drill all my backs of these to get them all where I can shoot my acid in. And what I've done here is put screens on the front. I've cut up a bunch of these little screens here. I had to put a veil on too. I'm out here working, just walking around in this yard. And I got nailed about 6 times in the side of the head and face. And I said, no, that's enough of that, Steve-O. Let's go ahead and gear up. So here's what I'm doing. I'm getting them set out all over the place. I'm getting as many as I can. And the idea here, guys, like here I've got one going this way, one that way. And what I'm going to do here is put in 2 frames. This one needs to get re-waxed. It didn't get re-waxed yet. I'm going to put in 2 frames. I'm going to put, from these existing colonies, I'm going to grab 1 food frame and 1 try to get seal brood. Seal brood with some eggs in it, hopefully. And I'm going to put a cell in here, in each one of these. That's it. Reducing these entrances down. In this yard, see, I can take my cutters here, my tin snips, like so, and cut this little bitty 1/2 inch window here, see? Like so. And I can rob all these frames from this yard here. But if you don't lock them up for about 3 days, they're going to go back to your existing colony. Steve-O don't want that. No, he don't. Here, I've got all these frames here ready to go. They got all re-waxed. This is the stuff we cooked down the other day. You saw me cooking that down out there. Smells great too. That fresh wax, man, that stuff smells great. But here's all I'm doing. I have not locked these down. See, these are free floating on here. These are free floating. These bottoms, they're screen bottoms. This is what we can get away with in Florida. I don't know what you guys do in Michigan and Georgia and all that, but this is what I can do in Florida. And I can just put that up there, center that. Just got a big hole. If this hive was full blown, you know, filled out, you could just open that up and have that hole there from coming and going. That's plenty of hole for them. You don't really need anything bigger than that. If the colony gets much bigger than that, steal some frames out and make another colony, right? So that's all I'm doing here. I'm putting 2 down here, 2 staples up here, and this sitting there floating. Now, if I want to transport this hive to another yard, then I will shrink wrap around. That will stabilize this bottom to this top. And that's all I need to do. So this guy, so here, this is what I'm doing. I'm running around the yard here. I got to get a plug in here. All these, by the way, when I put the 2 frames in these, 1 food frame and one brood. Here's a plug right here. I'm going to take a wide mouth quart jar, as you know how I do it, and I'm going to melt 1 hole with a needle in it, and just have 1 hole for these little 2 frame mating nooks. Now, after the mating, she comes back. Say this colony here doesn't make it. This one makes it. All those bees that are in there, still guarding that stuff, are going to get shook out on the ground. I'm going to reset it up with another cell with more resources. I'm going to take those frames I just shook the bees off, put in with this girl here that made it. She should like this one. See, I got a little spray paint here with 2 little eyeballs and a smiley face, so she'll know to come back to that hive. You think? Okay. Enough comedy act for that. So that's what I'm doing, just a quickie. I'm going around here getting as many as I can. I got these all full of frames here. These are ready to go. These are all re-waxed. These puppies are all re-waxed here. So really all I need to make up So I got plenty of wax on them, rolled in. They smell fantastic too, guys. I wish I had smell-o-vision here for you. So all I need to do to make up these nooks all around, these mating nooks, is 2 frames. That's it. So you can stretch your resources quite far, guys, by doing this. Then, of course, once these make it, you're going to have to watch them close. And the beauty of this is you've got 5 frames here. Capability, 5 frames, right? You're only needing, you don't need that many bees to cover that cell you're going to put in here, that queen cell. Once she hatches and she gets squared away and she makes it back from her mating flight and she starts laying eggs, then you come back in and you start plopping in more next to her. Right? Or you can sell that queen. Now, I'm not set up. You have to have another inspection on your queens genetics from the state of Florida to sell queens, which is quite silly in my opinion to do any of that. I don't really know what they're up to on that. I don't know. You can sell a nook in Florida, but to sell queens with a queen in it, mind you, but to sell just queens, you have to have an additional $25 deal dole out to the state. They think all beekeepers have lots of money. No, we don't. We're like every other poor farmer in town, okay? We don't. We're not swimming in money. But they want more money just to get, so you can sell a queen bee. Go figure on that one, guys. I don't know who the rocket scientist is downtown, but it is what it is. All right. So that's that. We're having fun in the bee yard. I hope you're having fun in your bee yard. What's going on here? Not much. It's springtime. Here's a little drunken bee on the front end here. Lots of good pollen substitute here. They're not hitting it. Do you know why they're not hitting it? Because they're getting plenty in the wild. In Steve-O's wilderness. And thanks for coming by to see old Steve-O and Steve's World today. Hey, I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Be happy, be strong, because we got to keep getting it wrong. See ya.